123, 116 on Thursday night for their 4th win in a row. In a potential first-round playoff preview, LeBron James had 33 points and 9 assists to lead the Lakers, while Luka Doncic had 19 points but missed all 6 of his three-point attempts. Here's LeBron after the game.
What did you sort of make of what they put together over there, knowing that that's a team you could see in 2 weeks pretty easily?
I mean, I've been a part of them making big acquisitions to change their dynamic of their team before. I've had to go against them when they added Kevin Durant. So, I mean, Jimmy Butler is great. And, you know, he adds toughness to him. He adds a championship DNA type of guy. But it's always the same. They always figure it out. They always add somebody to mix it dynamic.
Woo! What are we saying here? What's he trying to communicate?
He's giving the Warriors props. I know a lot of people are going to interpret it as him taking a shot at Pelinka in terms of the Lakers and them needing to do more. No, I'm not going to do that to him. I'm going to say he's praising the Warriors because Rob Pelinka went out and got Luka Doncic. I mean, this is not the year to be talking about what he hasn't done as an executive after having that trade take place, okay? And Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, without a doubt, at the behest of LeBron James, hired J.J. Redick, and J.J. Redick is doing, I think, an outstanding job. So I look at it from that standpoint. I'm not going to interpret this as him taking a shot at the Lakers. I'm going to look at this as him applauding, rightfully so, the Golden State Warriors. Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy Jr., of course, Steve Kerr. You go out there and you look at what Jimmy Butler has brought to the table. Jimmy Butler is a star in this league. Jimmy Butler is somebody that elevates his level of play when it counts most, particularly in the postseason. He deserves love and respect and credit for what he's helped the Golden State Warriors accomplish. But let's look at some of the other things that they've been doing. Steph Curry is 4th in the league, averaging over 28 points a game since the trade for Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green has emerged as a defensive player of the year
He's the
candidate.
favorite right now.
Let me tell you something right now. Did you see what he did last night in the last couple of minutes, forcing LeBron into that turnover, Wendy, and then that big-time strip of Luka when Luka came into the league? Draymond is showing you there are a multitude of ways to win basketball games. And you look at their overall offensive rating is 5th. Their overall defensive rating as a team is 3rd. Since acquiring Jimmy Butler, they're 19-2 with both Curry and Butler in the lineup. There's not much to say. I mean, why would we think LeBron is saying anything else when you have those kind of superlatives to throw out about the Golden State Warriors?
Wendy, what do you make of LeBron's comments after last night's game?
Yes, I agree. You could pick them apart. The way I took it is him saying, could be worse. One time they had a 73-win team and they added Kevin Durant. At least it's not prime Kevin Durant. That's the way I took it. As much as the record with Jimmy is impressive, I just want to point out what's going on with the lineup that the Warriors have put together here. Steve Kerr has used like 20 different starting lineups this year. At one point they traded for Dennis Schroeder and then traded him away. Like, they've had a revolving door. And after all that, in March, he's figured out how to align best. He rolled up his sleeves. Obviously, Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob and those guys in the front office got him Jimmy Butler. This lineup that he's gotten, Stephen A. mentioned Draymond Green's defense. It's this whole lineup with Brandon Podziemski. And I want to remind you, Podziemski was a guy that they treasured after his rookie year last year.
Right.
They could have probably had Paul George if they were willing to part with Podziemski.
And they were not.
Or Lauri Markkanen. I don't know how it would have gone. I don't know how far they got down the road, but they said Podziemski was off limits. And I asked Brandon about this last fall, and he goes, it actually kind of shook me a little bit because I'm just getting into the league getting wet, and I'm hearing that I shouldn't be traded for Paul George and Lauri Markkanen. And he actually got off to a rough start. But he's got Podziemski in there alongside Moses Moody. That fivesome, Butler, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody. They have played 340 minutes together. They are a dominant defensive unit. Per 100 possessions, which is the way we look at defense, they're giving up 101 points. The Oklahoma City Thunder, which has the best defense in the league by a country mile, they give up 105. That team, small, fast, aggressive, can switch, can cover for each other, is destroying teams. So when you look at what's going on with the Warriors, yes, Jimmy Butler is a perfect bridge for what Steph Curry needs, especially when he comes off the court. But Brandon Podziemski is filling in for Klay Thompson. He had 7 threes the other night in Memphis. He had 8 threes last night, and I know he's not going to shoot like that all the time, but they have replaced that role, and they have gotten a tremendous alignment with these 5 defensive players playing small.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct about that. And you got to give credit where credit's due. They're also number 1 in assist percentage. Number 1. Yeah. Number 1 in the league. So we can't ignore that either. So they assist. They share the basketball. Their spacing is sublime. You look at what they're doing defensively, how tenacious they are. And by the way, you're Podziemski, remember, it's not an insult, my brother. Lauri Markkanen can play. And so what happens is not only can he play, he's significantly taller. And since the Golden State Warriors is considered to be a relatively small team, all right, particularly on the interior, that's the reason that people were entertaining that kind of a deal being made. It was no shade on Podziemski's game because we know that brother's talented, and the Golden State Warriors appear to have done the right thing by making sure they didn't let him go. The other thing that we have to take a moment to pause and say is this. Steve Kerr is one of the greatest coaches in the history of basketball. We just have to stand down and recognize this man is a four-time This man is a 4-time champion with the Golden State Warriors. He's been, he's coached them to 6 NBA finals, okay? You look at what he has done. We know he won as a player. But to see what he's doing as a coach, to me, when I think about what you're saying, Wendy, how can we say all of those things and ignore the coach? It's the coach that mixes and matches. It's the coach that's trying to figure out the lineups. It's the coach that's dissecting who works best with whom and how. Obviously, I was critical of him with Jason Tatum in the Olympics, but I hope Steve Kerr is listening to me when I say this. That's the reason I was critical. It's not because he's not a great coach. It's because he is a great coach. He is a phenomenal coach. And he should have been able to figure out a way to use that first-team All-NBA player that's a reigning NBA champion. It's because you can't tell me that you're Steve Kerr and you got 40 minutes, Wendy, and you can't figure something out, because I think that he's that great. He's that phenomenal as a coach. And as we look at the Golden State Warriors right now and we talk about this team, this is a man that succeeded Mark Jackson. This is a man that everybody wondered, well, what happened to Mark Jackson? What happened to Mark Jackson, who I still think should be a head coach in the NBA, should have gotten a chance by now. But there is no doubt that Steve Kerr, when you look at the great coaches in NBA history, the Pat Rileys, the Phil Jacksons, the Larry Browns of the world, the Greg Popoviches of the world, hell, you can go back to the days of Red Holtzman and others. Steve Kerr is one of the top 5, top 6 coaches in the history of basketball. Wendy, I think he's proven that.
Wendy, hold on one second. You're a slick one, because the way that started, I was sitting there waiting, but I heard all that Tatum stuff last summer, and then you got right to that at the end and turned it all the way around.
Because it's the truth.
This is why I was hard on you.
This is why I was. Because I'm like, you can't tell me. And I'm dead serious.
I thought you set yourself up for the perfect track.
I'm dead serious when I say this, and I would tell him this to his face. You can't tell me somebody as great as you, as brilliant as you are. I'm not saying that you saw enough from Tatum in practice. I understand that you might not have seen what you wanted to see and all that. I get all of that. I'm saying because of his greatness as a coach, you can't tell me that's not something you could not have figured out with an all-world player like a Jason Tatum. That's all. If he wasn't a great coach, fine. You playing 7 deep and that's where you going and you're stuck in your ways. That's different. We've seen Steve Kerr throughout the year. Remember the adjustments he made in the finals, Wendy, against Boston? I mean, you're looking at them between games 3 and 4 like, my God, what the hell happened? Steve Kerr switching things up. The man is a brilliant, brilliant basketball coach.